Yo, what's up, guys? We're back. We're going to break down another UFC card. This week, it's a pretty good main event here with Whittaker versus Gastelum. This is a former title fight we were supposed to get as a main event of a pay-per-view, so high-caliber fight right here. But before we get into that, like always, I just want you guys to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and make sure to write some comments down below. Tell me what you think, and just overall what you think of this card, what bets you have. I feel like it's kind of a hard betting card, to be honest, in my opinion. But before we get the card kicked off, I just want to say last week I did a little bit of a competition where I asked everyone to put, the amount of significant strikes for the main event, the winner, and the method of how they thought the winner was going to win the fight for last week's card. And the winner was going to win either $20 free bet for this week for this card, or just $20 sent through Cash App or PayPal. So, I'm going to, announce the winner right now. So congrats to them, and the winner is Manuel Galarza here. So you got to get back to me, man. I'm going to write a comment down below that comment just to try to notify you a little bit more. But it was actually pretty crazy. I mean, you put significant strikes by Vettori, which, I wanted significant strikes for both fighters, so I just counted it as that for you. And, ultimately, I mean, there were 61 significant strikes total in the fight. You said 60. So you picked the method. You are one significant strike off the total from both fighters. So pretty close prediction right there. Shout out to Manuel for that. So you did win the competition. You can get back to me whether you want just the $20 through Cash App or PayPal, or you want me to let that money roll for you, place the bet, and then you could get the winnings of, whatever you get there if you do hit that play that you want to do. So just let me know, Manuel. Congrats on the win. I'm going to be doing this more in the future, so, make sure to, get involved if you see these competitions. But, you did get the win here in the first one. And, like I said, you just got to get back to me, tell me what you want to do, and, we'll get your winnings to you right away. So congrats to you. But we're going to get right into this full card breakdown here. With this first fight of the night, we got Tony Gravely taking on Anthony Birchak. To me, this line is a little bit off, though. I mean, granted, you're only as good as your last fight. Birchak looked pretty terrible, but there were a lot of mitigating circumstances there. Birchak, he had to take the fight on very short notice. He cut 30 pounds in 3 days. He fought a teammate. He didn't really, get his normal corner. I don't think he got to work with his coaches due to that because of the conflict in interest, and it reflected in the fight. I do think he's going to have a better showing here. He's very aggressive. He's going to be the one going forward, trying to use his kicks, combination, touch Gravely up, try to make him make mistakes with his forward pressure. I do feel the striking is close because Gravely is hittable. He doesn't like being hit. To me, whereas Birchak is more chaotic and wild. If Birchak can extend the exchanges, land, he may be able to wear it a little bit better. You do see Tony Gravely, when he gets hit, he has a tendency to shoot in right away, which does leave that opening for a counter uppercut, counter knee, for a guillotine. But Birchak is very open as well due to his wildness, holds his chin high, and he's been put down a couple times. In his last fight, he did get dropped and then choked out. And Gravely, he does have good timing on his counter punches. I see him trying to just counter, pot shot, time to take down like he usually does. And he's a sick wrestler. His level changes should be effective against someone who's always aggressively coming forward like Anthony Birchak. And Birchak is a solid grappler in his own right, though. I think he needs to make Gravely work for the takedowns. Look to see if he can get on top, but I don't think Birchak will be able to stop Gravely from taking him down overall, or be able to take Gravely down most likely. Birchak, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He will throw some stuff up from bottom, but more of a top player. He isn't nearly as dangerous with his sub-game as the fighters who've been able to submit Gravely. And Gravely, he can get complacent in full guard. He allows opponents to get deep in on submissions or submit him, which we've seen him get submitted 5 times in the past. He also can lose scrambles. He does give his back sometimes. Both guys actually tend to give their backs when they try to stand up. We saw Brett Johns submit Gravely with the rear naked choke. Gustavo Lopez submitted Birchak with the rear naked choke. Those were both their last losses. Ultimately, I do think Birchak may have some moments in the stand-up and in the scrambles in this fight. Maybe even will get the back at one point. I just think the pace, the wrestling pace that Tony Gravely puts on Birchak is going to be a lot for him to handle. I think he's going to slow down. I think a lot of the fight is going to take place with Gravely in top position. And I also think the counter punching of Gravely could be effective. I think he could hurt Birchak potentially. But like I said, I think the line is a little bit wide because you do have a guy that's 5'5" in Tony Gravely, who's short, stocky. He's going to be taking on a rangy guy who I think has more weapons on the feet. probably maybe a little bit of a better striker, even though he's so crazy, it makes it hard to kind of truly say that. And then on the ground, I feel like jiu-jitsu-wise, maybe you give the edge to Meerschaert, but I just feel like Gravely, he's been in there against better jiu-jitsu guys, not gotten submitted, and he's been in there and made mistakes against good jiu-jitsu guys that I think he's probably learned from. So I feel like with Meerschaert, he's not going to, get submitted. I think he's going to have the gas tank to go for 3 rounds, whereas Meerschaert, I question his gas tank a little bit. So I am going to go with Tony Gravely here to get it done, most likely via decision. And in the second fight, we got Hubbard, who's going to be making his 6th walk to the UFC Octagon. He's going to be taking on a guy who's making his UFC debut, so he has a lot of experience over him, and he needs to come out here and make a statement because of that. I mean, he is a former LFA champion. He's had some good performances in the UFC. He should be learning and improving, and he was scheduled to face a guy that's a pretty big beast in Nathan Levy, so, he should be tuned up, but he's kind of had some bad outings as well. He's been up and down. He's won one, lost one, and he's going to be taking on a guy in Dakota Bush who accepted the call on short notice, and he's going to be looking to make an immediate impact. He's an LFA fighter. He has back-to-back wins, first-round finishes. He's tested himself on the regional scene, but whenever he's taken that step up in competition to even Bellator-level competition, he's lost. But Dakota Bush, he looks like a pretty good fighter. He's aggressive. He likes to use his whole MMA game. He isn't great at anything, I would say, but he's an all-rounder. He likes to punch his way into the clinch. He has pretty good footwork. He's fluid with his movement. He puts together some nice punch and kicking combos, good blitzes. He'll blitz forward with crosses, and he does a good job of using his punches to set up the takedowns. Puts pretty good combinations together when he can back up against the cage. Good elbows. He landed a real nice high kick in his last fight. And like I said, he's aggressive. He's going to try to go out there and get the knockout. He has good level changes. He seems like he's pretty good in the clinch as well. And when he gets on top, he likes to take the back. He has 4 rear naked choke victories. He has had some fights, though, where he struggled in terms of fighters taking him down, and I don't think his defense is necessarily that good. I feel like on the feet, Hubbard, he needs to mix it up, attack the body, attack the legs, and look for the single leg or the body lock. Try to control on the ground. Try to push a high pace. I mean, he had a 10 weeks notice for this fight. His opponent has had less than 1 week notice. Also, Hubbard, he has that much more high-level experience, and he's only lost to high-level guys. I feel like the UFC's kind of penciled Hubbard into this spot where, not Dakota Bush necessarily, but I think Nathan Levy was a prospect that they liked, and they tend to give Hubbard these prospects, see if they can pass the test, and then they'll give him these higher-level fights, because if you look at his resume, they gave him Davi Ramos, who's, an elite jiu-jitsu world champion. They gave him Mark Madsen, former Olympic gold medalist. They gave him Max Roshkoff, a guy that had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. They gave him Joe Selecki, who obviously just beat Jim Miller. He's on a fast track. So they're giving him these guys that they have a lot of respect for. So I think they do have respect for Hubbard's skills. They think he's a good test to see if these guys can get into that upper echelon. And like I said, Hubbard is kind of a similar fighter to Dakota Bush, where he's an all-rounder. He, likes to mix it up with the hands and the feet and has decent combinations, pushes a high pace, he can wrestle, but isn't great at anything. But I just feel like with his higher level experience, and I think that his grappling is a little bit better than Bush's. If he mixes it up, goes for takedowns, I think he could get Bush a little bit tired, especially since Dakota took this fight on short notice. If he can get on top, I think he could control him. So I feel like Hubbard could have a similar performance to the one he had against Kyle Prepolek in this fight. Go out there, kind of just control the distance on the feet, land some nice combinations, forward pressure, hit some takedowns, and just use his well-rounded game to take a decision here. I think it'll be fairly close because Bush is young. I think he's going to be hungry, ready to go, but got to take Hubbard and his experience here. And we're moving into the third fight of the night here, and we got Zarah Fairn making her third UFC appearance. She's going to be welcoming Josiane Nunes to the Octagon. Josiane Nunes, she's getting her first UFC opportunity after she won 6 fights in a row on the regional scene. This is going to be Nunes' first fight outside of Brazil. It's definitely the biggest moment of her career. She is coming off finish wins over 4-0 and 3-0 opponents, so, not very experienced girls, but they were undefeated. And she has a penchant for finishing. She's finished 6 of her 7 wins. She's a little pit bull. She isn't technical on the feet, but she's durable. She's tough. She throws heat. Nunes, she likes to forward pressure, back opponents up, use her straight right to close the gap. And she's always like and use these jumping attacks. She has good Superman punches, flying knees to the body, to the head. And when she can get inside, she'll throw some big looping hooks. She looks like she has some pretty good power in her hands when she connects. She can turn fighters' lights out. Good knees, good elbows in the clinch. And she's just very aggressive. She isn't overly athletic or explosive. She's pretty basic. She just brings those few combinations that she has, her toughness, her cardio, her forward pressure, and it does look like she has some power. So she has 6 knockouts in her 7 wins. Not a good grappler, though. She doesn't look to grapple offensively. Her defensive clinch work in wrestling looks subpar. She really struggles to get her back off the cage. I believe if Fairn mauls Nunes, uses her height in the clinch, maybe use the tie plum a little bit, she could pose Nunes some issues. Nunes doesn't have good takedown defense, good jiu-jitsu, good get-ups. She likes to attack guillotines instead of defend the takedowns, and when she gets put on her back, she usually is there for the rest of the round. She got dominated in the first round against this Barbosa girl. She almost got armbarred. She spent a lot of time with her back against the cage against the 0-1 Juliana Araujo. Lost the first round, in my opinion, in that fight. But she was able to get on top of Barbosa in round 2, did some okay work with ground and pound. She usually doesn't struggle to keep fighters, from closing getting inside on her. She sometimes will land these big bombs and get these girls to back off, but I just feel like these are low-level girls. I think that more girls often are going to be able to, eat those shots and close that gap, get in the clinch, or, get into a grappling situation. But, I just feel like as well, Nunes, like I said, other than Taila Santos, she hasn't fought any good girls, and she's really relied on her cardio to win a lot of fights. She'll be losing early, but keep that same pace, pressure. She has a ferocity to finish, and her opponents do usually wilt. But if she doesn't get the finish, I think she's an iffy proposition to win. She's 1-1 in decisions. Neither of the girls, that she's beaten in decisions, or neither of the girls that she's fought in decisions have been very good either. And, neither one of these girls, either Zarah Fairn or Josiane Nunes, have seen a third round since 2017. So I feel like their cardio is a little bit suspect as well. Her opponent here is Zarah Fairn. She's in a do-or-die situation. She's had 2 goes so far in the UFC. She got finished in the first round in both fights. Dropping down to bantamweight, so we're going to see how she is going to compete at this weight class. Her striking overall is not very good. She has plodding footwork, tends to just walk opponents down with the straight. She has pretty good jab, but I don't feel like she uses it nearly enough. She wants to get opponents back to the cage, and from there she has good hooks. She's good in the clinch. She'll grab the Muay Thai plum, land nice knees, good elbows, and she has good dirty boxing. I feel like that's where she wants to be in this fight. She doesn't really move her head, though. She stands very tall. Her chin is right in the air. So Nunes is going to have chances to bomb on her, land her boxing combinations. But she does look tough. She seems like she has some power. But sometimes it seems like, it seems like fighters can walk her down because she doesn't really put a lot of power into her shots. I feel like she does a lot of touching, like she's sparring sometimes. And she needs to go in there and be a little bit meaner, I've seen her cracked coming into the range before and dropped, and her chin, is definitely going to get tested in this spot. She's kind of been hurt in a couple of her fights recently, and obviously we've seen her grappling is not shown to be very good. I don't think it's going to be an issue in this fight, but her grappling is, a big question mark. Also 34 years old, making the drop down to 135. To me, that's something that I'm a little bit worried about in terms of just her cardio or just how she's going to take a shot, everything like that. So that's something that I do give Nunes the advantage in. But, man, ultimately, I feel like this is a low-level striking fight. I think that both girls, aren't very good. I think that Nunes, obviously, she's 5'2". I don't know why they don't have her height here on Tapology, but very short. I think that Fairn's going to have a massive reach advantage. She's going to have a size advantage as well, obviously, coming down to weight class. And, I don't think that she's going to have to worry about the takedowns in this fight. So she could maybe try to do that jab and grab type of game plan. Jab, back her up, grab her in the clinch, get that Muay Thai plum, go to work, and, try to just kind of control the octagon, control the distance, and use her range. And that's what I'm going to go with here, but I have no confidence. Josiane Nunes could get on the inside of Fairn and go to work with her boxing, back her up. But I just think Zarah, she's going to be the bigger, longer girl, maybe the more technical striker. Maybe she'll be able to keep her at the end of her shots. And if Nunes gets on the inside, she can clinch her up, go to work with her tie clinch. So I'm going to go with Zarah Fairn in a very low-level fight here. And we got an intriguing matchup in this one. It's a grappler versus grappler matchup with GM3 taking on Bartosz Fabinski. And usually in a lot of these grappler versus grappler fights, you usually see or hear, that, a lot of the times when it's grappler versus grappler, it's going to be a striking fight. But this fight, I don't necessarily see that happening. With Bartosz Fabinski, man, it's hard to imagine he's going to be in any type of striking fights for very long on the feet. I mean, his striking is pretty much non-existent. It's hard to even break it down. He likes to come forward, use these big actions, big overhands, spinning attacks, or, long, not long combinations, but you'll throw like these straight punch combos, hook combos, all to close the gap, just kind of fluff on the feet. GM3 is definitely the better striker. I mean, he has that nice right hand. He has the good body kicks that he throws, and definitely, his jab is a little bit better, his boxing, so he's going to have the advantage if he can keep the range, but I don't think he's going to be able to keep the range like that. Bartosz is the better athlete. I think he's going to be the faster guy. I think he's going to be the more aggressive guy, so he's going to be able to get on the inside, make it a grappling fight. And GM3, I mean, his last two fights, his chin has really failed him, so I don't even know if he has enough trust in his chin to want to keep it on the feet and kind of bang it out. So even if Bartosz isn't very technical, if they just trade, Bartosz might land on his chin and hurt him. I mean, we don't necessarily know how compromised GM3 is. He got one shot in his last fight, which is never good to see. So, but I do feel like I said this is going to be more of a grappling fight. Fabinski's a guy that likes to take you to the ground, control you, turk the legs, stay in guard, land nice ground and pound. Sometimes he'll move into half guard, but overall, he really isn't an active passer. He more likes to just, stay on top, maul you. He has no problem just staying inside your full guard. And I feel like that's going to be something that fares well for him here against a guy like GM3, because GM3 is someone that his takedown defense in the UFC is basically non-existent. I mean, he allows guys to take him down. I feel like he's very comfortable off of his back. He has, I believe the most or the second most submissions in the history of the division for the UFC, so very adept at catching subs. And his half-guard sweeps are really awesome. I mean, he likes to kind of goad guys into passing his guard, moving into half-guard. He'll look for the half-guard sweeps. If you mount him, he's really good at, shrimping out, or he'll either, create a situation where you could find a sweep from mount as well. So he's a very tricky grappler. He likes to allow guys to feel like they're comfortable, get into dominant positions. Then he turns the tables on him, gets on top. And when he gets on top, he's very heavy. He has a lot of good submissions that he goes to. And the thing is, though, he's more of a top game submission artist. He likes to go with the arm triangles, okay rear naked chokes. And then other than that, he has real good front headlocks. He has good guillotines, which is something that Bartosz has to be wary of, because sometimes he does leave his head out there to be guillotined. I feel like he has a lot of confidence in his guillotine defense, but he needs to be wary of that, because, sometimes he'll just, try to get out of the guillotine by passing a half guard. But if GM3 can, lock that guillotine in, get a good bite on the neck, and then sweep from half guard, he could have a lot of trouble, if, he can get a dominant position and really cinch up that guillotine. So I feel like he needs to definitely respect that here and, be nice and very good with his entries, which he usually is. I mean, he's a guy that's really overwhelming with his wrestling. It's hard to stop him from taking you down. And I don't think GM3 is going to stop the takedown. So it's going to come down to, how Bartosz plays it on the ground. I mean, do I think that GM3 is a guy like Andrei Munoz on the ground? Hell no. I mean, I don't think he has a guard like that. He doesn't have submissions from bottom like that, triangles, arm bars. He's not throwing up stuff. I don't feel like he's a guy that, has super fast hips. He's more, like you said, he wants to sweep you, get on top, trick you into, thinking you're in a safe position, and then kind of explode or use his technique to, get into the dominant position himself. And I feel like Bartosz, as long as he just stays smart, even if he turks the legs or stays inside a full guard, just don't really give GM3 a lot of openings. Just try to, short ground and pound, control the position, and, maybe even some control against the cage. I feel like Bartosz could get this decision victory. So I don't think it's as much danger as it was with his last fight with a guy like Andrei Munoz. I feel like if he could take GM3 down, be smart, he could get the decision. So I'm actually going to go with Bartosz in this one to pick up a decision win. With this next fight, we were just recently talking about one of these girls in Jessica Penne. She had a fight earlier scheduled against Hannah Goldie, which I believe was a much easier, much more winnable fight for her here. Now they're putting it here against Lupita Godinez, who is returning from the octagon for the first time, fresh off one of the best fights in LFA history, man. If you haven't seen that fight with her versus Vanessa Demopoulos, you should go see it. It was an absolute war for 5 rounds. She's jumping in here on short notice, but she has an undefeated record. She has a lot more recent cage time, and that's why she's a sizable favorite in this matchup. And she's a boxer. She's quick, she's sifty, she uses good angles, real nice left hook. Her straight right hand is nice as well. And to be honest, I mean, that's really all she uses. She'll mix up the combination. She'll throw the left hook straight right or the straight right left hook. She'll go to the body, but she isn't a power hitter. No knockouts in her career. She isn't really an active kicker. I've seen her throw a couple body kicks out there, and defensively she has good head movement and good distance control. She can be dragged into brawls like in her last match, but she has a lot of toughness. I do think her kicking defense is probably where she needs most work, and Penne may have some success with keeping her at range with some front kicks, with some low kicks. But I feel like Penne's kicks aren't really that good. And Lupita Godinez, she's a decent grappler. I've seen her use her grappling against lower level opponents. When she struggled with the range, she's been able to close that distance, hit singles, hit doubles. Okay with her control on top. In this fight with Penne, I mean, she should be trying to use her wrestling in reverse, keep it on the feet. She does have a low center of gravity. Like you said, she's quick and shifty, gives good angles, keeps her range pretty well. So it isn't super easy to find an entry into the legs or the clinch. If Jessica Penne does get into the clinch against Godinez, I do think she could have success, maybe even hit some takedowns. And if she can get Lupita to the ground, that's where Jessica's going to be a live dog. She's going to be able to potentially fight in the submission. But on the feet, I do feel like Lupita has the advantage here. I mean, Penne is going to be the longer, rangier fighter. She has a 6-inch reach advantage, decent jab. She'll throw the 1-2. She has good knees, good strikes in the Muay Thai clinch. And but she could throw her kicks real naked. I feel like Godinez is going to be looking to counter off the kicks with the left hook. And Penne is another one of these girls that's very tough and durable, but I think the speed is going to be a big advantage on the side of Godinez. And Penne is going to want to try to close that distance, use her judo in the clinch. She has good trips and throws from there, and occasionally she will shoot a double leg from range, but most of her takedowns are in that clinch. And if she can get on top, she is aggressive. Like I said, that's going to be her best chance to hit a submission. Even if she can pull guard, she has a chance at a triangle or an armbar. She's really good with her sweeps as well. So I feel like Penne should try to make this a grappling match at any means necessary. Try to use her kicks, maybe try to kind of try to touch with the kicks and the jab, leg kicks, maybe get Godinez to overextend, close that gap, hit the takedown. And for Godinez, I mean, just use the boxing. Try to use your speed in and out, cut angles, keep Penne on the outside, and just box her up. And I feel like Godinez is going to be able to implement that game plan pretty easily. Just use her speed, use her footwork, use her boxing, her pressure, closing that gap, landing, the 3-2, the 2-3, and just alternating that, going to the body. I feel like she's going to be able to be the stronger girl here, so she'll be able to negate the clinch. I think she'll be able to stuff the takedowns, and I got to go with Lupita. I feel like she's going to have the cardio to go. She's coming out of Mexico here, so obviously she's someone that's going to be fighting at altitude, training at altitude, and I think that she's had 5-round fights. She's proven herself that she can go 3 hard rounds, so even though it's short notice, I think she's going to be ready to go, and I'm going to go with Lupita Godinez here to get the win. Here we have an awesome fight, man. I don't really understand why this fight isn't on the main card, why it isn't higher, up on the card, even if it's the preliminary main event even or something like that. But they got it down here on the prelims, Juan Espino versus Alexander Romanov. I feel like these are 2 dark horses in the heavyweight division. The winner of this fight is going to set themselves up for a top 10 opponent, and I believe that they could potentially, win those fights and get into higher level matchups here. So it's a real fun fight. The Alexander Romanov hype train, man, kept rolling on in 2020. He went 2-0 to start his UFC career. He's a beast. He has a very fan-friendly style, but he's going to be taking on a guy in Juan Espino who made his return to the sport after nearly 2 years away from the octagon. He didn't miss a step. He went in there against Jeff Hughes, took him down early, submitted him, and he has the skills to pay the bills, but he's 40 years old, so any loss for him is a major setback, and he needs to definitely get it going now. But Juan Espino, I mean, he's a super interesting guy. He's not going to be necessarily, in my opinion, nervous to fight a guy like Alexander Romanov. I mean, if you just look at this guy's career, it's pretty awesome. I mean, he's went in there and done some real cool things, and especially in the grappling realm. I mean, he's went out there and done a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions, a lot of wrestling competitions where he's taken gold all over the world. He's taken silver, bronze, but he's always been, a high-level competitor. And, he's competed in Senegalese wrestling against these guys that are giants, man. I mean, you think that Alexander Romanov is a big, strong guy. Go look at some of the guys that he was going up against in that Senegalese wrestling. He did this other thing called kabaddi or something, and it was like 5 people, and you couldn't breathe. It was a real weird grappling type of thing. So he's been all over the world doing all this grappling in all these crazy competitions, and really tested himself. And another thing that I had to say in terms of this fight is, Alexander Romanov, I mean, if you just look at his recent opponents, you look at a lot of his opponents on the regional scene, he's been facing a lot of light heavyweights, a lot of little guys. And, even in the UFC, I mean, he fought Rogerio de Lima, former light heavyweight. He fought Roque Martinez, who's like 5'6" and kind of a bloated up, middleweight even. And now he's going to be fighting Juan Espino, who's taller than him, who has a reach advantage, pretty similar weight. So he's going to be fighting a guy that's similar size to him. So it's going to be interesting to see if he could just toss him around like he was tossing around these little guys that don't necessarily have that same grappling experience either. But, it's pretty obvious at this point what Juan Espino wants to do in there. He has that 80-inch reach. He moves around, he fakes, feints, sometimes pops the jab. He throws that big overhand out there, then looks for the single leg, and he moves well. He's quick, he's agile. If he can't get the takedown, though, he's very vulnerable because he's uncomfortable. He doesn't want to exchange. He's always just looking to time the entry to bring it to the ground. But the guy is a super strong wrestler. I mean, he has great ability to finish on the single. He'll use the single to come up into the body lock, push opponents to the cage, work from there. Good clinch takedowns, very nice double legs, good slams. Espino and Romanov are two of the strongest fighters in the division straight up. And when Espino gets on top, he's very heavy. He wants to work his ground and pound, tire opponents out first. He's more about position. And then once he, feels you wilting a little bit, he'll start to work the side control. He likes the crucifix. He hit that scarfold choke in his last fight. He said he learned it from Alexei Oleinik and likes that scarfold position. He'll go knee on belly, mount you until you give your back. And then, from there, he does a great job of just staying connected. Even if guys, get to their knees, get back up, he'll mat return them. He wears on guys with that. He's the cardio to wrestle hard. And I think his cardio is going to be a big factor in this fight because I feel like he has the better grappling cardio of these two guys. I've seen Alexander Romanov in, extended fights. He fought a guy, Sultan Murtazaliev. And in the third round, he did look very tired in that fight. But, for Alexander Romanov, on the feet, I do feel like he might be a little bit better. I mean, both these guys obviously are pure strikers, are pure grapplers. They want to get it to the ground. They usually dominate their opponents in that realm, and they don't have to worry about grappling or striking too much in their fights. But, in this matchup, I feel like Romanov maybe his best chance of victory here is to kind of implement a sprawl and brawl type of fight, where he's keeping it on the feet. And I feel like on the feet, he's a little bit faster than Espino, and he's definitely going to be throwing the more volume. I do think Juan has more power and more technique with his boxing. I think he has more power in his punches, but he's not as dynamic. I mean, Romanov is the better athlete, and he throws these jumping kicks, flying knees, things like that. So, I wouldn't even be shocked if Alexander Romanov landed a flying knee knockout, a, jumping kick and rocked him or something crazy like that, because he has that dynamism on the feet that Espino doesn't have. But overall, I mean, Romanov is still very sloppy, just tries to use those big, crazy, jumping techniques or a big flurry of punches to close the gap, get in the clinch, and, his wrestling and grappling is definitely not as credentialed as a guy like Juan Espino, and I don't think it's as technical. I mean, he just likes to suplex these guys, throw them head over tea kettle, and I mean, he's a beast. I mean, he's super powerful. Like I said, I do think he's been fighting a lot of guys that could be fighting at 205, but still, I mean, he's able to throw them over his head and really just dominate these guys, hit forearm chokes, just bully them on top. But I feel like jiu-jitsu-wise, technique-wise, in the grappling, Espino is the superior grappler here, And like I said, Espino's went in there against guys. Like, if you go look at the size of those guys in the Senegalese wrestling, I mean, those guys are huge as well. So I feel like he's felt that type of strength in the grappling that Romanov is going to have. And I do feel like in terms of that, the more likely guy to hit takedowns and control on top is going to be Juan Espino. I feel like if Romanov goes for takedowns, I think Espino is going to be able to stuff. And I feel like, I just find it hard to believe that he's going to throw around a credentialed, grappler like Juan Espino, who's the same size as him or pretty much the same size. In terms of, the age difference, I see a lot of people, pointing to that this week and the reason why they're picking Romanov. But to me, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but, in the heavyweight division, guys that are 30 years old, they don't do very well, man. I mean, if you're not like 33, 34, 35, there's not that many super young, 25, 26, 30-year-old heavyweights that are out there in the top 10, top 15. They usually mature later. So I feel like, the age isn't really a big deal in this fight. I do think that the reach advantage of Espino is going to be helpful for him, and he could maybe use his jab, get Romanov to get a little bit crazy, and get in on that single, take him down. And I think if he takes down Romanov off one of those kicks, which is possible, I have seen Romanov taken down off throwing his kicks. I do think he's going to have more success controlling him, because I did see Sultan Murtaziliev, who looked like he could have been a light heavyweight. He didn't look very big. He had, about a minute of top control on Romanov, and Romanov did come back and, kind of win that fight easily. He took him down at will, but, I feel like if that guy could control him on the mat, if Espino can get him down, he can control him. I think that Romanov has shown that his cardio is a little bit suspect. Both these guys, I think, could have suspect cardio. If this gets to the third round, it could become kind of like a slot fest. But, I just am going to side with the underdog here with Juan Espino. I feel like he should be lined a favorite, personally, because, like I said, I think he's the more experienced, better grappler. And I think that, if one guy's going to be getting takedowns, going to be controlling on top, I think it's going to be Juan Espino. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's been a black belt for like 10 years. Romanov, I don't think he has the best jiu-jitsu. I feel like, we saw Rogerio de Lima, get up from under Romanov a couple times. And, we even saw him struggle to finish Roque Martinez on top. I don't think that he's going to be able to dominate Espino in the grappling like he has these other guys. I think, Espino can, give a lot more, defensive resistance to the attack that Romanov is going to bring. And I feel like Romanov is going to get a little bit tired. Espino's going to start to take over in the grappling, and Romanov's not going to be used to a guy trying to take him down and actually being successful and controlling him on top and being, just as strong as him and things like that. So I think Espino is going to kind of come in here and, show Romanov that there is guys that can match him in the grappling realm. He's not the biggest, baddest, strongest guy in the world. And I'm going to go with Juan Espino to come in here and get the win. In this next one, we got Tracy Cortez. She's going to be trying to continue her progression, taking on Justine Kish here. And Cortez, she's gone 2-0 with 2 dominant decision wins so far in her career. And she also did that fighting out of her weight class. She did that at 135 pounds. Now she's going to be coming down to flyweight. She looks in great shape. And she's not getting an easy test here, though. She's facing the most credentialed fighter she's ever fought in Justine Kish. But Tracy Cortez, she has underrated striking, in my opinion. She mixes it up well. She has solid speed, footwork. She gives good angles. She has good lead hooks. She likes to use that lead hook to line up her straight or overhand right. Good job of switching the target up of the hook, attacking the body. Good job faking level changes, ripping the body, coming over the top with the left hand. Good right hand. She has a good job hand fighting, then come over the top with punches. She's pretty fast. Good job of sticking and moving on the feet. And, she did a good job against another girl that was a forward pressure striker like Justine Kish and Vanessa Mello. She does like to get inside, land her 2-3 punch combos, and then get out. But fighters can, counter back right away. She does kind of, go forward and backwards in straight lines sometimes. She's a little bit hittable. She can, drop her hands. She has okay leg kicks, but sometimes can get countered off throwing her kicks. She's probably going to be at a striking disadvantage in this fight, but I feel like she could have some success with her striking still. And, the grappling is going to be what she wants to do. I mean, she's a great grappler. She has great level changes, very good clinch takedowns. In her last fight, she was able to go in there and dominate a girl that's, is a former judoka Olympian, and Stephanie Egger, take her down, control on top. When Cortez gets on top, she's very heavy. She likes to take the back, and she does a good job of, using her ground and pound to open up submissions. She has, a pretty good top game overall. She's has good cardio. She's not going to slow down. She has a lot of heart. So she has a lot of things that are going for her in the right side. And her opponent, Justine Kish, I mean, super durable, tough girl, comes forward, super strong. And I feel like she's going to be the stronger girl in the matchup. I mean, just physically. But, she actually did a good job in her last fight against Sabina Mazo. She was up 2-0 but, ultimately took a beating in the third round, got finished. She's a former Muay Thai world champion, though. She's a bull. I mean, very sturdy. I feel like in this fight, she's going to want to try to just deny the clinch, deny the takedowns, force longer exchanges, just try to be the bully. Maybe even get in the tie clinch herself and land some shots. But I feel like she's going to want to keep it on the feet, try to walk down Cortez and, use her pace, her pressure, and just her, her power, her relentlessness to kind of break Tracy. But I feel like, just Tracy's ability to use angles, have better footwork than Justine Kish, who I feel like is going to be a little bit plotting. And also has that ability to mix it up, close the distance, hit that level change. And, Justine Kish is very strong. She likes that head and arm throw position. She's good when she can get on top. But we've seen her taken down and dominated by girls like Felice Herrig. And I feel like Tracy Cortez has, a notch above in the grappling realm. So I think Tracy can mix it up, do her thing here. I think she's going to enjoy being back at 125, being the bigger girl. And I feel like she's just going to be able to have a pretty dominant victory here over Justine Kish by using her striking instead of her takedowns, mixing it up, and being the better all-around mixed martial artist here. In this next fight, we got Ricardo Ramos taking on Bill Algeo. And this is a pretty good fight. I think it's a close fight on paper. It's a close fight on the money line. I think people are going to have, differentiating opinions on this fight. And Bill Algeo, he's actually, in my opinion, been a little bit of an overachiever in the UFC. He went in there against Ricardo Lamas, had a really good effort where he almost got the finish in the second round, was very competitive in the first round, could have got the upset victory, but, looked like he ran out of gas and Lamas was able to put it on him in that third round. And then he followed that up with a really good performance over Spike Carlisle, where he really kind of put it to him over a 3-round fight, used his gas tank to, take out Spike in terms of just kind of cooked him. He didn't finish him, but he dominated the third round, really made it a obvious victory for himself. And he's going to be taking a guy in Ricardo Ramos, who you can argue maybe is a little bit of an underachiever, where he's still 5-2 in the UFC. He's done well, but he's been finishing the first round in 2 of his losses. He's coming off a first-round loss against Laurent Murphy, where, in my opinion, he was doing decent on the feet, but, went for the takedown, and in the grappling, he ended up on bottom and got finished with some big ground and pound from Laurent Murphy. So, Ramos, to me, is probably the better athlete. I think he's going to be a little bit faster. But obviously, Bill Algeo's one of these long-rangey guys for the division. Ramos used to be a long-rangey guy at 135. But at 145, he's going to be, a regular-sized guy. So Algeo's going to have, that size, that reach on him. And that is going to be something that, Ramos usually doesn't have to deal with. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does. But Bill Algeo, he has pretty good footwork, movement, and kind of like herky-jerky type of guy. He likes to kind of stay in your face, though, kind of head first, hands down, and try to kind of goad you to throw at him, use his head movement and kind of his upper body movement to, move out of the way, then counter. He likes to counter with that straight right hand with the front knees up the middle. He'll try to throw, intercepting elbows. So he's a guy that tries to land these, counter-strike kill shots, and he does a good job of striking moving backwards or forwards. He could put some good, cross combinations to high kicks and, pretty dynamic guy. He'll throw flying knees, switch kicks. He can mix it up on the feet, body, head. So definitely is a pretty slick striker. And he has a lot of confidence as well. He's a guy that taunts you. He goes in there and tries to kind of punk you out, clown you a little bit. He has a good chin. He's durable. He has great cardio. Tries to weaponize that by using a lot of forward pressure. And, throws a lot of output. But Ricardo Ramos is pretty similar. I mean, I feel like Ramos is going to be the better boxer. Algio's going to be the better kicker. Ramos, to me, puts better hand combinations together. He has faster hands, more powerful punches. And I think he's going to be trying to get on the inside, use his boxing to close that gap and hit the takedowns. Ramos has pretty good kicks as well, spinning attacks. He's dynamic in his own right. I think he's going to have the speed advantage overall with his feet and his hands. And I think he's going to probably be able to, land some nice punches. But he's going to have to be wary of, Algio's counters, just the range game that Algio plays. And I feel like Algio is the tougher guy of the two. Algio's a guy that's a dog. He likes to go to war. And I feel like Ramos maybe could be a little bit of a guy that can check out if it gets tough. But, as far as the grappling goes, both these guys are black belts. I think Algio, to me, I mean, his offensive wrestling is okay. He doesn't really use it very often. I don't think he's going to use it in this fight. He more only uses it against guys that are just pure strikers or guys that are giving him issues with the striking. But, Ramos will use the wrestling, and I feel like he's going to probably be able to hit takedowns on a guy like Bill Algio. Bill Algio has been taken on 9 times in his first 2 UFC fights. Got taken on 5 times on the Contender Series by Brendan Loughnane. And his takedown defense and just kind of his herky-jerky wildness on the feet does allow guys to just take him down pretty easily. He is kind of one of these guys that's hard to control, and he's very stubborn. He doesn't accept bottom position. He works right back up to his feet. But in doing that, he likes to give his back up when he gets to stand up. And I think that's something that Ramos can exploit. I think Ramos could take his back and actually potentially even get a rear naked choke or just ride out the rounds. But I think that the fight IQ of Ramos is going to be what wins him or loses him this fight. Sometimes he can have poor fight IQ, hang around on the outside. He doesn't check kicks, so that's something that I think Algio's going to try to do, use those low calf kicks. And if Ramos is content to strike with Algio for too long on the outside, he could end up running into a knee, or he could take too much damage on that calf early, and Algio could start to pull away with it, get his confidence. But I think if Ramos comes in here with the smarter game plan, he does train at Team Alpha Male, very good grappling gym, and I feel like they'll have a good game plan for him. If he wrestles, looks to take the back like he did in that Luis Garagori fight, I do think that that's a way that he could get the victory, and that's what I'm going to bank on here. So I think Ramos is going to come in here, use his grappling, be able to hit the takedowns. Eventually, I think he's going to be able to take the back and hit a rear naked choke, or just ride out a decision victory. I am worried about that third round if it gets there, because Ramos does slow down. Algio picks it up as the fight goes on. So Algio does have path to victory as well. Whether it's denying the takedowns, working that calf early, forcing Ramos to fight late, finishing him in that third round. But I think Ramos, has that glaring weakness in Algio's game, which is the wrestling. I think he has good entries. He has pretty good takedowns in the clinch and from distance with the shots. I think if he gets it on the ground, he has the ability to control and or get the submission. So I'm going to go with Ricardo Ramos to get it done here. Man, I mean, this fight right here, I feel like this is a super low-level fight. This is what I mean. Like, they got this fight on the main card, but Juan Espino versus Alexander Romanov is on the prelims. I don't really understand that. I mean, to me, Luis Pena, he's kind of a busted prospect at this point. He came into the UFC, had a lot of hype, but just hasn't improved. And in my opinion, it's like he leaves a lot to be a lot to be desired, man. It seems like he doesn't leave it all out there in his fights. It's like he has energy after the fight. He doesn't fight to his full potential. I don't think he really improves a lot. And, he's going to be facing a guy in Alex Munoz that I'm not 100% sure is a UFC level guy. I mean, he looks like he's a decent boxer, wrestler. He's a good athlete, but a very basic fighter. This fight, to me, is kind of a very difficult, low-level fight. It's hard to call because Luis Pena, I mean, he's going to have a big height and reach advantage like he usually does, but he never uses that. I mean, he doesn't do a good job controlling the range. When he can work behind his jab or his left hook, I mean, he is effective. He has a good check hook. He'll throw the, right hook, uppercut, right hook, straight combination. And, he has some nice round kicks, good flying knees. But, man, I mean, he leans back. He has that tall man defense. When he gets pressured, he doesn't really fare well against pressure. Man, I feel like when he gets pressured and tries to wrestle, I think that could be something that Alex Munoz could exploit just by, getting heavy on the head, sprawling, circling to the back maybe. But, Pena, he's had success against certain wrestlers where he's been able to use the Kimura trap or use guillotines to defend takedowns, create scrambles. And I feel like that's what he's going to need to do in this fight. Because Alex Munoz, he's a pot shotter. He's a southpaw. He likes to use that left straight, the body kick, the jab. So he kind of tries to just touch you, move you around, and kind of frustrate you so you overextend and then walk you into that double leg. And, on top, it looks like he's okay. It doesn't seem like he has the best top control or anything like that, but he can wrestle. And, he can keep a pace. It seems like he's tough. He has good cardio, good durability. He showed that in his fight with Hackprast. And, as far as the striking goes, I think power edge goes to Alex Munoz. Munoz has his striking, his left hook is okay. He has some power in his punches, but very basic. Like I said, uses the left hook, that straight right hand. Sometimes you'll throw a 1-2, that left body kick. But, very, kind of obvious movement. He doesn't really use a lot of fakes and feints. He doesn't really mix it up very much. He's really just trying to, pot shot you so he can pull you into that takedown, man. And, when he can get on top and control you, that's where he has most of his success. In this fight, I do think he's going to be, able to hit takedowns. Pena's had, struggles against guys that try to take him down. He's a decent offensive grappler, but, his defensive wrestling isn't the best. And, I do feel like Munoz could have success controlling him on the mat as well. But Pena could create scrambles, get into some positions where he could potentially find a submission. If he could take Munoz's back or get on top, I think he's going to have success against Munoz. So, man, this fight could go either way. I feel like both these guys are going to have the cardio to go for 3 rounds, but I think Munoz maybe will have a little bit better cardio, want it a little bit more, land the bigger punches on the feet, and hit a couple takedowns to get the victory. So I'm going to go with Alex Munoz here. But another super unconfident pick on this one. Moving along here, we got Abdul Razak Alhassan taking on Jacob Malkoun. And Abdul Razak Alhassan, he's looking to jumpstart his career by bumped up a weight class here. And I feel like this is kind of a forced move up because he missed weight 2 times in a row. So, 185 looked like it was going to be in his future, and here it is. And on a 2-fight losing streak as well. Got brutally knocked out in his last fight. So he needs some good fortune here. If he can pick up a victory, it's going to be his first win in nearly 3 years. So definitely would be a huge victory for his career. His opponent, Jacob Malkoun, he had a rough entry into the UFC. He went in there with Phil Hawes, lasted less than 1 minute. And a lot of people feel Malkoun is only in the UFC because of his relationship to Robert Whittaker. He needs a win here, man. He needs to prove the naysayers wrong. He's very early in his career. He's only 4-1, so any UFC fight, he's going to be an underdog most likely. He does have some experience in some other combat sports. He's 3-0 in boxing, but man, I feel like he's up against it in this matchup. Malkoun, he seems like he's an okay striker. Like, he has good feints, distance control. He likes to use that 1-1-2. Good straight right hand, good tight hook. So in the pocket, if he could slip and counter, he throws tight punches, and he has decent head movement. So, he has fast hands as well, so maybe he could clip and hurt someone, but he isn't a guy that really has showed power. In his 4 wins against low-level oppositions, he's won 2 decisions, so it's not like he's knocking all these guys out. He does have 2 knockouts, but, some of them have been on the ground with ground and pound. He is a guy that I believe is like an Australasian, world champion wrestler or grappler. But I don't feel like he's going to be able to take down a guy like Abdul Razak Alhassan. I think Alhassan is going to be the much stronger, more physical guy, even moving up a weight class here. There is going to be a 10 years age gap, so that's something that you always kind of have to be wary about. Most of the guys that are 10 years younger usually get the victory, but Jacob Malkoun, like I said, he has the 1-1-2. He throws some sloppy kicks. His kicks aren't very good in my opinion. He looks for those tight hooks on the inside. So Razak has to be a little bit careful trading with the guy. But, Jacob Malkoun, he gets backed up far too easily. In that Phil Hawes fight, he got backed up right away. Phil Hawes just forced him to exchange, and he got knocked out. He doesn't have the firepower, the speed, the athleticism to exchange like that with a guy like Phil Hawes. He doesn't have that same anything to exchange with a guy like Razak either. If Razak can close that distance, back him up to the cage, force him to exchange, he's going to probably be able to knock him out. We saw Razak be able to do that with almost all of his opponents. I mean, even in his loss with Munir Lazez, he was able to back him up, force him into exchanges early, almost knocked him out. I mean, he did get knocked out really quickly by Chaos Williams, and that happens, but that was really the only fight where he hasn't been able to implement that and at least, get to that position in his fights. And I do feel like he's going to be able to do it again. I mean, he's just going to come across that cage super aggressive probably. Unless that knockout really has a real tentative, he needs to get right in Malkoun's face, force an exchange, and, I think he's going to win that and knock him out. I don't think Malkoun's going to be able to get his back off the cage because I think Razak is going to be too athletic, too fast, close that gap. Malkoun tries to be too technical. He is sharp, but he just doesn't have the speed. I don't think he has the athleticism. I don't think he has the defense. And I feel like, Razak is just going to overwhelm him really early. I mean, he got finished in less than a minute in his fight against Phil Haas. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened again here. I really wouldn't, because I've seen in other fights, even outside the UFC, early in fights, he allowed himself to get backed up against the cage and exchange. And, some of those exchanges he'll win against those lower level guys. But against the Razak, against the Phil Haas, against these heavy hitters, fast twitch, fast guys, I don't think he's going to fare too well. I mean, you can never be super confident in a guy like Razak Alhassan. 2 losses, 35 years old, moving up a weight class. But I got to pick him here, and I think he's going to get it done easily within at least the first round. But I think it could easily be within a minute. So, going to go with Razak Alhassan here. This next fight's a short notice matchup here with Andrei Arlovski hopping in here on short notice, take on Chase Sherman. And I like this matchup for Andrei Arlovski. I think that Chase Sherman is a good fighter. He's improved a lot. He's a guy that is a brawler. He has a good low leg kick, and he's been able to, chop down fighters' legs, force them to exchanges, and use his, his volume to kind of overwhelm these super low-level guys and take them out. I don't feel like he's one of these guys that is going to be able to knock out Arlovski with one punch like a Jairzinho Rosenstruck or anything like that, or hurt him super bad like a Tom Aspinall. He's a guy that usually needs a lot, a long volume, an array of strikes to hurt guys. He'll throw knees, elbows to hurt guys. So, I mean, if he lands a nice knee, a nice elbow on Pitbull, that could hurt him, but I don't think he's going to necessarily hurt him with a one punch or, a couple combinations. He's going to need, a lot of damage. And I definitely feel like Arlovski has that advantage in terms of the punching power. I think the fact that Arlovski is a southpaw, it's going to, be able to take away that leg kick that Chase Sherman likes to use, which is a big factor in the fight, in my opinion. So that's something that Chase Sherman is going to have to either use that lead leg outside low kick, or either just abandon the leg kicks, because I don't think he's going to be trying to throw that inside leg kick. It's not as effective. And, I think that, in terms of the striking on the feet, it could be a little bit similar in terms of, the volume that they throw out. They're both speedy heavyweights that use their mobility, and they throw a lot of strikes out there. But Chase Sherman, I think that his cardio is not as good as Andrei's. He doesn't pace himself quite as well, and his defense isn't as good. He's a little bit more predictable. Andrei, I think, has better footwork. He has good fakes, good feints. He does a good job of moving around and walking guys into counters as well. And I feel like he's going to be able to get Chase Sherman's respect with his punches, with his counters. And I feel like Chase Sherman is going to be kind of a step behind all night. I think it might be a little bit similar to the Tanner Boser fight, except Arlovski is going to have a little bit more success fighting the target, because Sherman is a guy that's going to come to him. And, Sherman, I feel like if he had a better gas take where I could rely on him to keep the volume high for 3 rounds, and maybe I would say in the 3rd round he could break a guy like Arlovski and take him out. But Chase Sherman's one of these guys that can keep a high pace for 7-8 minutes, that he really starts to fade hard. I mean, you saw that in the Augusto Sakai fight, and he really faded and got finished late, got taken out. And I don't necessarily think Andrei Arlovski's going to put it on the gas pedal and take a guy out, but I think that he could just pace himself better, land the bigger punches, have the more power in his shots, be the guy that's kind of looking like he's controlling the rage and controlling kind of the pace of the fight, and just be the veteran in there. Use his marksmanship, land some low kicks, move around, pull him into some spinning attacks, some, shots that are going to wow the judges a little bit. And I think Arlovski is going to be able to just out-veteran Chase Sherman, pace himself a little bit better, and get a decision victory. In this next fight, we got a fight that should be a banger in the co-main event between Klose and Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens, he's a guy that has, going to be up there in my opinion when he retires for the most fights in UFC history. He's been on a very rough run recently, but you look at the guys that he's been fighting, it's been cream of the crop fighters. He's definitely taking a step down in competition here, even though he's moving up a weight class. That is something that you do have to talk about here. Stephens, I think it could be a good thing for him. He missed weight his last fight. He's 34 years old at this point. And I think that maybe, him moving up in weight could help him in terms of, we've seen him get hurt to the body in recent fights, things like that. Maybe that's not going to happen as much. He might, have a little bit more in the gas tank to push. But Stephens always been a guy that comes in good shape, always has good cardio. I feel like he's fought at 55s before. I don't think he's going to be undersized. This fight, he's going to be pretty similar size to a guy like Klose, same height, a little bit of a reach advantage actually. So I think Stephens will be able to fit in and, be fine at 155 if he stays there, or if, he plans on going back to 145s. I think he could have some fun fights there, obviously, as well. But he's going to have to get the win here and get by Klose to maybe save his job. I just said he might have the most fights in UFC history, but, if he loses again and loses, I believe that would be, 5 out of his last 6 as losses. So, he definitely needs a victory here. Even if he loses this one, I wouldn't be sure if the UFC would cut him because he's just such a fabric, but, it would be pushing it for sure. He's going to be taking on a guy, Drakkar Klose, who set several scheduled bouts this year. He just hasn't been able to get in the octagon for one reason or the other. His last fight, he's been trying to get that bad taste out of his mouth because it was his first time that he got finished. Got taken out by Beneil Dariush. It was a highlight reel knockout of the year contender with a spinning back fist. Or never mind, that was his fight with Scott Holtzman. But he has so many knockouts, it's hard to remember them all. But had that brutal knockout comeback from behind KO of Drakkar Klose. And, Drakkar Klose to me, he's a good matchup for Jeremy Stephens, almost like a tailor-made type of guy. Not saying that Jeremy Stephens is going to be guaranteed to win because of that, but Jeremy Stephens struggles against these guys like the Calvin Katers, the Moicanos, the Zabit Magomedsharrapovs, the Yair Rodriguez's, and all those guys. They have in common, they're good distance strikers. They control the range. A lot of them have real good movement. They can move around and, pot shot Jeremy. Drakkar Klose, he just comes forward. You know where Drakkar Klose is going to be. You don't have to find him. You don't have to chase him around the octagon. And Jeremy Stephens is going to, meet him in the middle and oblige him in that type of fight. So it's going to be a barn burner. And Drakkar Klose, to me, his striking, it's, pretty basic. He has a real nice low calf kick. I think both these guys are going to be trying to beat each other's legs up. Jeremy Stephens has a really nice low calf kick as well. And then Drakkar Klose has a, heavy right hand. He's a little bit wild with it, but he has a nice straight, nice overhand right, good right hook. He has power. He'll use his jab to set up his right hand. And, outside of that, he doesn't really have much else in terms of the striking. It's not like he's dynamic. He doesn't really throw head kicks. He doesn't throw knees. He doesn't really use a lot of elbows. It's more just, the 1-1-2s. He'll throw some 2-3s, some 3-2s, some nice low calf kicks. That's his best weapon. And, that's what he likes to do in there. He definitely is durable. He has good pressure, good pace. He can keep the volume high. So he tends to kind of wear his opponents down. And he can grapple a little bit. He wrestled in college. He likes to grind guys up against the cage. He has okay takedowns. He doesn't really have good top control. He doesn't have a submission game. So when he takes you down, he's not really looking to control you on the ground or beat you up there. I don't think he's going to have much success taking down or controlling Jeremy anyways. And he's had a little bit of trouble with grapplers. His takedown defense is not very good. And off of his back, I feel like he's very weak. I feel like if Jeremy Stephens could take him down, he could pound him out and hurt him really badly. Stephens has some of the best ground and pound in the sport, in my opinion. And Stephens can wrestle, can take fights to the ground. So that could be something that he might try to do. But Stephens, he obviously loves to fight on the feet. He's a guy that, he really likes that straight right hand, the right uppercut, and he can walk you down. And, guys have to go backwards because they respect his power. I mean, he has one of the best highlight reels in the sport. He has those real nice leg kicks that I was talking about, and I feel like his kicking game is more dynamic than Jeremy Stephens or than Drakkar Klose's, because he can go to the head with head kicks, body kicks. He's a lot sharper, faster, nicer kicks in my opinion. But Drakkar Klose, he does have that real nice low calf kick. Can't take that away from him. And I feel like that's going to be something that both guys like to pinpoint in this fight. Like I said, I think that could be a big factor. But Stephens, I feel like he needs to try to set up his strikes a little bit better, which you could say that for every Stephens fight. He doesn't really feint. He throws a lot of his big punches a little bit blind, wild, and if he feinted his way in or feinted the uppercuts, I feel like Drakkar Klose is a guy that bites on a lot of feints, and Jeremy Stephens could land a big cross, big upper, big knee up the middle, and get Drakkar Klose out of there. And I do feel like Drakkar Klose, he likes to drop his levels when guys get in range against him. Like he likes to clinch up with you. And if you see that tendency, I mean, just counter with the uppercut, counter with the flying knee. I mean, you've seen Jeremy Stephens land a flying knee on Dennis Bermudez. We've seen him knock out multiple guys with the uppercut. And, if he lands on Drakkar Klose, Drakkar Klose just got knocked out. So I feel like definitely it's something that Jeremy Stephens could do, and he could hurt him. And, Jeremy Stephens is coming off a knockout loss himself, so that's something that you have to be wary of. He's a little bit older. But, man, I mean, this fight to me, it's a close fight because I feel like Drakkar Klose, is the younger guy that's, taking less mileage and damage. But, I don't think he's a guy that's going to give Jeremy Stephens a look that he doesn't like. He's likes to get in people's faces, go to war. I don't think he's a better grappler than Jeremy, so I don't think he's going to be able to control him against the fence or take him down and beat him up on the ground. So it's going to be a striking fight where both guys are not elusive. They meet each other right in the middle. And, it's going to be the guy that, is sharper, lands the better shots, and is a little bit more powerful. And I think that's going to be Jeremy Stephens. I think Jeremy Stephens is going to be able to, exploit some of those bad tendencies that Drakkar Klose has on the feet. Counter him with some big shots. I think that Jeremy Stephens is going to be just sharper, the better striker. I think he's going to be a little bit faster. I think he's going to, just be able to look a little bit better at 55. And if he does want to mix it up, try to get a takedown, if he get on top, I think he's going to have a lot of success. I think Drakkar Klose is very weak off his back. He doesn't hand fight. He doesn't seem like he has very good takedown defense in the clinch. And I feel like Jeremy Stephens could exploit that if he really tried to do it. So I'm going to go with Jeremy Stephens. I think that he's just a sharper striker. He's definitely fought the much better competition. I think he's more dangerous. I think they're similar, but I think Stephens is just has the more firepower. He's a little bit more dynamic, and he's the better grappler, more dangerous grappler. I don't know who the better wrestler is necessarily, but I don't think Drakkar Klose is going to overwhelm Jeremy with the grappling. I think the cardio is there for both guys. Neither guy's going to wilt, so Drakkar Klose can't rely on that in this fight. And I'm going to go with Jeremy Stephens in this one. And then finally, we got the main event here. We got Robert the Reaper Whittaker taking on Kelvin Gastelum in a fight we were supposed to see a few years ago. If you remember, I mean, that was the fight where Whittaker had to pull out after the weigh-ins. Kelvin Gastelum infamously came in. He had Henry Cejudo's belt. He was walking around. He was, calling himself the champion. He had that thing with Israel Adesanya where he was talking to him outside of the cage after he got the victory, and that ultimately set up the interim title fight where Kelvin went in there and had one of the best fights of all time against Israel, came up a little bit short. And, Robert Whittaker obviously went on to fight Israel after that and took a much more lopsided loss. So, in that common opponent, Kelvin obviously did a little bit better in that matchup. But since then, Whittaker, he's been a guy that a lot of people have counted out, and he's thrown in a lot of their faces. I mean, a lot of people picked Darren Till. Whittaker went in there and got a nice victory in a very close fight in that one. Went in there against Jared Cannonier where he was an underdog once again. A lot of people picking against him and just schooled Jared Cannonier. Dominating win. Put a lot of damage on Cannonier. And now he's going to be taking on Kelvin Gastelum, who, he's kind of struggled a little bit recently. He had a 3-fight losing streak where, in my opinion, he was showing some bad fight IQ in certain fights where, like, he was attacking leg locks against Jack Hermanson and just letting decisions slip through his fingers against Darren Till. He did have a decent performance his last fight where he went out there, was able to out-grapple Ian Heinisch and kind of had a dominant victory through wrestling in that one. In this fight, I mean, I find it hard to believe he's going to be able to take down a guy that has some of the best takedown defense in the history of the sport in Robert Whittaker. This is going to be a striking fight, in my opinion, and it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be, the Southpaw versus Southpaw matchup. So, or Southpaw versus Orthodox, I'm sorry. And, that's going to be something that is interesting because I do feel like Robert Whittaker, he likes to throw those leg kicks. And, he's been able to do it successfully against Southpaws. That's another thing that I think is a good thing in Robert's corner. I mean, if you look at his recent fights, they had Darren Till, who was a Southpaw. Yoel Romero was a Southpaw. Israel Adesanya, obviously, does a lot from Southpaw. So Whittaker's been facing a lot of Southpaws, and he's shown that he can be effective with that lead leg side kick, with the stomp kick as well, the oblique kick. And neither one of these guys checks kicks, so I think that, Robert is going to want to go in there and really implement that leg kick early on Kelvin, try to stymie his movement a little bit. And Kelvin, I mean, he's going to be trying to counter that jab with the 1-2, get on the inside to force more boxing combinations, and, just try to use his power to touch that chin, because obviously Robert Whittaker is a very durable, tough guy. He's only been finished twice by strikes, but he's been dropped in a lot of recent fights. He's been hurt. He got hurt against Cannonier, got hurt against Darren Till, obviously got hurt in the Yoel fight. He got finished by Israel Adesanya. So, he's taking a lot of damage. And, Kelvin Gastelum's a guy that definitely has power. He cracks. He can knock a lot of guys out if he connects. So, he's going to be looking to land those punches on the chin, land that counter 1-2, land the hooks on the inside. He's good at switching stances and, throwing long attacks, kind of making his reach a little bit longer than it looks like. He'll even mix in some kicks. He landed that head kick on Israel Adesanya, but I do believe, Whittaker is the more dynamic striker. He's less flat-footed. He has that, real wide stance where he likes kind of blitz in with the shots, blitz out. Really nasty jab. I think that's going to be something that's going to be very important in this fight with this height and reach advantage. He needs to use the jab and try to kind of keep, Kelvin away from him. I see Whittaker, implementing his kicks early, the leg kicks, like I said, maybe some nice body kicks, trying to get Kelvin to kind of respect that he's going to the body, going low, and then obviously he always has that nice combination where he hides the high kick behind that jab or behind the straight, and I think he's going to have success with that. I think he's going to be able to land some clean high kicks on Kelvin potentially. I think his feints are also better. I think he's going to be able to control the range better than Kelvin, obviously, with his size, but I think he's going to be able to just keep Kelvin on the outside, make it really hard for Kelvin to counter with the boxing. I don't think Kelvin's going to be able to get his wrestling going, and if anything, I feel like Rob should try to mix it up, like he did in the, he got a takedown in the Gerald fight, he got a takedown in the Darren Till fight. If he could mix it up, fake level changes even to come up into shots, just to keep Kelvin off balance, I think that could even help him in winning this fight. But I just feel like he has more of an array of offense that he could use. He controls the distance better. And I feel like his cardio is going to be better as the fight goes on. Kelvin's a guy that is more dangerous in those early rounds. He's also, jumping in here on short notice. So I think that's something that Robert Whittaker is going to have an advantage of in the later rounds. I just feel like Whittaker is the sharper, cleaner striker. I think that in terms of the grappling, Kelvin isn't going to be able to take him down. I don't think Robert's going to necessarily be able to hit takedowns, but I think he's the one that could create offense off the takedown attempts better than Kelvin. And I think that if he does get it to the mat, he's going to be able to potentially take the back or, control a little bit better than Kelvin could control him. I just ultimately feel like Whittaker is the better all-around fighter. He's at a better point in his career. I think that win over Darren Till, like I said before the Cannonier fight, where I actually picked Whittaker, a lot of people were picking Cannonier in that one, and, I think that was a huge win because I think it brought his confidence back. I think that now that he's, back on the hunt for the title, I feel like he's just going to be able to go in here and take out one of these guys that's, a forward pressure boxer. Is it going to give a lot of feints? Is it going to throw a lot of kicks? Is it going to be mixed in the takedowns? Whittaker should be able to read him. I think that both these guys are going to have good game plans. They were supposed to fight each other in the past. I feel like Kelvin's kind of similar to Costa in terms of what's come forward in box, throw combos. but I feel like, obviously the southpaw is a little bit different. He's more technical, but I just feel like Whittaker's going to be able to handle it, do his thing, and get the victory here in a stand-up fight. If he mixes it up, that's even better, but I feel like Whittaker just has more tools here. I think the kicks, the leg kicks, the oblique kicks, and maybe even eventually a high kick are going to be big factors in the fight as well. So I feel like Whittaker has more ways to win here, and I feel like he's the guy with better fight IQ, sharper, the more championship level guy. So got to go with the Reaper here. So there you have it, guys. That's the breakdown for UFC Fight Night Whittaker versus Gastelum. It's a real good card. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like always, make sure to put a comment down below, hit the like button, and always appreciate all the support that you guys give me. Once again, I am gonna have a Bellator breakdown, also an LFA breakdown, bets for the UFC card on the Patreon. So if you want to check that out, always appreciate it. There's gonna be a lot more content obviously coming to the Patreon with I'm gonna be putting the PFL over there next week, other videos as well. So One Championship, I did a video for them, so you would have had access to that. So there's gonna be several things that are fun, things that you should be interested in and maybe want to go check out if you wanted to look at it. So make sure to check that out. It'll be in the description in the comments below. And like always, like I said, appreciate all the support, everything you guys do for me. I really like doing these breakdowns for you guys. I like the community that I made. So always got to shout you guys out and just give you guys a lot of love. So hopefully we do well on these fights this week. And before I forget, for the parlay of the week, it's gonna be Lupita Godinez and Tracy Cortez. We're gonna have a little bit of Mexican parlay going on right there. My most confident pick on the card is gonna be Lupita Godinez. Man, I mean, this fight, it's a tough card, man, in terms of that type of thing, picking underdogs, picking confident picks, but that's what I'm gonna go with on that one. And the underdog of the week is gonna be Juan Espino. So thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.